Okay, Mia, it's great to have you on today. This is Mia Canada. She is phenomenal in her skill. She has mastered her craft for sure as an ultimate gift wrapper, as some of you may have seen her before. But we want to welcome her to the podcast, and she's going to share a little bit about her story and where she's at, her success, and even the difficult times. I've had great conversations with Mia, but we just want to welcome you guys, especially anybody who's interested in moving into this as a side hustle or a career for the future. Don't forget to like and subscribe. We're here all things unwrapping your life and your business, especially for women over the age of 50 and in the mobile gift wrapping and gift wrapping space, as well as the gift basket space. So I want to say welcome. Hi, Mia. Great to have you.
Hello. Thank you so much. I appreciate being here.
Yeah. Well, we're all excited to hear a little bit about your story. Can you give me about a 3-sentence intro so that people know who you are? I know who you are, but some are new, so they may not know. So just a little bit about you.
Sure. My name is Mia Canada. I am widely known as the gift wrap goddess. I've been gift wrapping for almost 20 years now. Well, I've had a gift wrapping business for almost 20 years. And yeah, come in this space with no official knowledge or anything. I'm absolutely self-taught. And then I did take classes, like once after I opened my business. But yeah, an entrepreneur at heart. And I think go ahead.
And sometimes you don't know that you are. Like you're just thinking, I want to launch something, whatever that is. You don't realize that you are an entrepreneur until a little later. You're like, oh my gosh, I think I am that, you know?
Yeah, absolutely. Entrepreneur, it sometimes can be like hot word, what people say, and not really understanding that that is what it is. If you're opening a business or if you are following a passion, that's really, I think, the key. If you're following a passion and people are paying you for that passion, and then you rely on that passion to grow your passion more and then to take care of yourself and your family, you're absolutely an entrepreneur.
Right. Especially even if it's a side hustle, even if it's not a main job, you really describing that. Well, Mia, tell us a little bit about your journey, how you, first of all, how you began your business side, because I think a lot of us have been creatives for a while, but this is a path that you've been led down. And so how did you start down the path of gift wrapping as a business? Not the expansion, but just in your beginning.
Okay. So I've always been creative, right? Like I can date back to when I was about 9 or 10 and I wanted a Barbie dream house and I didn't get it for Christmas. And I was like a mad little girl in my garage, putting all these boxes together, cutting out pictures from magazines and making the dream house that I wanted.
Oh,
And it was pretty fly too, I have to admit. So I've always been, super creative. I was living in Rockville, Maryland at the time. Well, actually, I was living in Montgomery Village, Maryland, and I was working in Rockville, Maryland. And I was a client implementations manager for United Healthcare. I hated that job. There was not one single thing in the job that was creative. I had no creative outlet. The only thing that was creative in my job was how I put together a PowerPoint presentation. Like that was it, right? And so I would just dream about doing something creative. I started doing parties for my 2 daughters, and they would be so elaborate that people would ask me, "Oh, can you plan my party?" And then I found that, I'm a very detailed person and I love a good theme, right? And so when I started throwing these parties, I found that the invitations that I wanted didn't go with the type of party that I was planning.
Yeah.
So I started designing stationery.
Oh, very cool.
Yeah, I started designing amazing, very creative stationery that would absolutely positively make someone come to that event. So fast forward, I moved to Atlanta because I was looking for a change. And I had a good friend of mine. She and I were in high school together. And she called me one day and said, "Hey, there's the lady that's at the mall can't do the gift wrapping this year. Is that something you think you'd want to do?"
How funny.
And I was like, I don't, like, you've known me for 15 years at this point. I've never given you a gift in a basket. Like, I mean, I'm always giving you gifts in bags. I don't know how to give.
That's hilarious. Yeah, that's what's so funny, Mia, because you and I both had that start where it wasn't your path up front. It
No,
was because I was the same. I've never wrap. I mean, I wrap all the time, and I wrap gifts, and I do a good job prior to starting Nifty. But it was never my thought to have that as my business.
right.
So interesting. Very good.
Mhm.
So,
And so I told her, I was trying to just brush it off. And so I said, I'll think about it. And then a few weeks later, she called me back and she's like, "Hey, I need you to come in and sign your contract." And I was like, "What are you talking about?" She's like, "The gift wrapping thing, remember?" And I was like, "I told you I would think about that." And she said, "Yeah, well, I've told them that you would do it. So come on in and sign your contract." Literally, I go in,
that's
I
so
sign
funny.
his contract. I leave there. I go straight to Macy's. I buy something small. I sit there and I watch the lady gift wrap it.
That's a
Then,
great story.
and then I go to the customer service desk and I ask them to wrap something for me. And they do. And I take these, I go home, I unwrap them, I deconstruct it, and then I wrap it back and I deconstruct it and I wrap it back. And that's how I learned how to gift wrap. I did that. I hired 10 people, taught them all every single thing that I knew, and the rest is literally history. I went into the mall on Black Friday, and that was it. If you've ever heard the saying that entrepreneurship is like, what is it? Like learning how to, like, building the plane as you go or something like that. You know what I mean? It's like jumping and then building, or trying to figure out how to sew the parachute. And that's exactly how it has been for me.
And that is so great. Somebody had me on their podcast a couple days back, and I was telling them that women, she asked me what was the hindrance to women starting businesses. And I said, perfectionism. They think they have to be perfect. And my tendency is to launch, then learn. So, just it's like just like what you said. You did not have all the answers. You didn't know how to do it. You just said, "Okay, this is probably a good path," or "Let's just take the path," because you
Let's
don't.
just do it. Let's just see.
Yeah.
Like, let's just see.
Mhm.
And once I saw, that was what, 6 weeks, 6 weeks or a month or whatever it was. And I when I got that bug, like, I was high, Michelle, like high, and not even doing the creative things that I'm doing now. Then it was just,
Well, you get approval, and I think that's why some careers are meant for some people for various reasons, and then there are careers like what we're in. And I have to say, like, I really like someone saying, "Gosh, that's beautiful. Oh my gosh, that's amazing." And because before I was a counselor and a homeschool mom, so it's like you didn't really get a lot of approval. As a matter of fact, you got a lot of criticism. And so when you get to make two people happy, our motto is bring joy. I don't care what your background is. I don't care what your politics are. I don't care about any of that. But your job is to bring joy by doing a great job so that somebody looks at that and says, "That's so beautiful." And you get in this job and this career, you get that.
absolutely.
And then
I like to say that I am the opposite of a funeral director. Like, we are the celebration starters. Like, we're the ones that bring the smiles and tell the stories. Because
Yes.
that's what I try to achieve.
That's
You
good.
know?
That's good, Mia. That's
Mhm.
really good. Well, tell us a little bit about how did you grow your business, and then how did you lead into your classes? Like, so that's your great start. How did you begin to grow it? Was this all word of mouth? Did you start marketing? Like, how did you grow yours?
So, okay. So,
I mean, I know it takes years, but how did you?
yeah, it did. Well, let me tell you, because this is a good story. This is a good story. I wonder how many people have stories similar to this. So again, I was thrown into it. Wasn't something that I didn't even have a background in. I laugh all the time and tell people everything I need to know in my business I learned in kindergarten, like
It's
cutting,
true.
pasting, tying. That's it.
Mhm.
And so I started off with one mall as a, just like, let's just see what happens. And then the following season, I remember thinking to myself, because malls are rated A, B, and C. So if you're an A mall, you have like a Neiman's or a Saks or Nordstrom. And then if you're a B mall, then you have like a Macy's and maybe a J.C. Penney or something like that. And then if you're like, or Nordstrom. And then if you're like a C mall, right, you might have a Sears or a J.C. Penney. And this is, back in the day. I'm dating myself now with the stores, but that's what they were.
Because they're minimizing the malls faster than anything right now. So it's actually a great story. Go ahead. Sorry, I cut you off.
So, yeah. And so when I was in a C mall, right, I was in a C mall. I think the biggest store there was Macy's. There was also a Sears, and then there was a J.C. Penney. And I remember thinking to myself, and I did really well, or I didn't know if it was well or not, but I'll quantify it. After I paid everybody, after I did everything, I made like $17,000.
Oh, that's great. So, quick question for people who are listening. When you went to the malls, whatever they were, A, B, or C, did you go to the director at the mall, or did you pay for space and then had people come? Like, how did you set that up?
So let me tell you, because this is good. Michelle, you're good at this.
Oh my gosh.
So listen, okay. So the first mall, I was approached, right? My friend
Right.
asked me.
Mhm.
And then the second time, and yes, I signed a contract. I paid like $2,500 to be in the mall for that. And again, I had no idea if that was a good price or if
Right.
it's a bad
Sure.
price. I had no idea. I was just doing it, right?
Mhm.
And I remember thinking after I did that, after I had counted all this money, and up until that time, I don't think I had ever had like a chunk of like that much that I
It's a
did,
great
in
reward. Yes.
in such a short amount of time, right?
Wait, Mia, side note. One more time. I'm probably going to interrupt you. I apologize ahead of time, but because this is just so good. The thing is that you worked. So there are dreamers and there are doers. And I think true entrepreneurs are rewarded by also their hard work. So you used your mind, you used all the things that you had at your disposal. Maybe you didn't have all the answers yet, but you used those, and there you just created some income based on your work ethic too. So it wasn't just about gift wrapping, it's about the fact that you did the work, you showed up, you followed through. Okay, go
I
ahead.
absolutely did. Yeah, I did. And so, and I loved it so much. I remember thinking, now, how do I get into the really nice malls? Like, how do I get into, and here in Atlanta at that time, there were a couple of really nice malls, and one would be Lenox Square, and the other is Phipps Plaza. And Phipps is the highest end mall that we have in our in our area, or it was at that time. And I remember thinking to myself, I wonder how I would get into there, like how I would do. Lo and behold, a lady called me and she said, I got a great report. Someone told me that you were in the mall and you did
Mouth. We'll get
you
that.
you provided this, and then they reached out to me. So the next year I had two locations in
Good job.
A malls. They found me. Then the year after that, they were like, how many malls do you want? All the malls around here that you can do, you can have. And I was like, oh my gosh. So it got to the point where I had 5 different locations, and this is all seasonal. I'm only doing this. This is just my
Right.
seasonal gig, right? I only am doing this from Black Friday to Christmas Eve, right? And so I was like, okay. And that works really well with my personality because I do really, really well at short-term projects where I can just give it my all, work really hard and then relax. And then we can come up with another.
Another one, short term. That's great.
I love that. Yeah, short-term projects. And so that's how it happened. That's how I grew, word of mouth. I even had an opportunity. They offered me Caesar's Palace
Oh my word.
and I kick myself now, but starting out at that time, I couldn't figure out how to do it.
Yeah.
I couldn't figure out how to go to
Well,
Vegas.
because when you're managing
Mhm.
multiple schedules, somebody asked me one time, I have a gal who's phenomenal with me, my right-hand person on scheduling, because you'll have 20 locations, 20 states, 20 time zones, 20 different projects, and then 50, 60 women or men, because we have people. So yeah, it takes you a little bit of time to grow up to that place, but it's just the fact that you did 1 and then 5 is huge.
Yeah. And then that drained me. Like it got to the point, it drained me because it was a big to do. Like I had to launch in the mall. Everybody wanted a presence on Black Friday, right? And then you have to be gone before the 26th when the mall is open again.
Yeah.
So that meant I never got to enjoy my Christmas Eves.
Right.
Right? Because I'm working Christmas Eve. Like I'm breaking all these down and I had 5. So I'm traveling 200 miles a day all around the perimeter, going, dropping off supplies, collecting money, filling in the gaps because somebody didn't show up and all that. And it got to be too much. And I remember thinking to myself, there's got to be a better way to do this. There's got to be a better way to do this. And I remember one day in my neighborhood, there was a space that was available. And I was like, I'm going to see, like, what'll happen if I do this all year round?
Yeah.
Like, what'll happen if I do it all year round? And that's where it started. That's how I grew. And then from there, I've had several different locations. I've had locations inside other people's locations. But if you want to know, like, how did I grow and how I would ask or tell someone to grow, that would be it. That, the thing that I think that hurts women, I know it hurts me, is the not being able to ask for help or not feeling like you can ask for help, or not even like help, but just
how to do something.
Exactly. And I asked this woman, I was like, she had a baby business. And I was like, I know they're doing a lot of gift wrapping in there because they're buying baby shower gifts.
Yeah.
I want to have a location in her store. And I just want
smart. That's smart, Mia.
And she was like, yes. Oh my God, yes. Like we do a baby registry. We do. All you got to do is ask.
That's so great. And so that's good because a lot of women who are going to be watching this is predominantly women. I'm sure there's some men who might, but that's such a great idea in other stores. So do you set up a table in there? What do you do? Like you would a mobile wrap? Would you just set up a table in there?
No, I had a whole little, I had a wrap counter.
A wrap counter.
I had a wrap counter that I did, like a little preface on it. I hooked it up and made it look really cute and got some, my name behind me and all of that. And then set up like the little, and it wasn't anything fancy. It wasn't like anything fancy, but it got the job done.
That's it. That is so good because that's the other thing is sometimes people, I'm more like you where I was like, oh, maybe I need to do that, or maybe I need to do that, or I can do that next time. But for
Mm-hmm.
now, I'm wrapping gifts. Okay.
That's it.
I'm bringing joy for someone here, and I'm doing this particular thing. And when I'm talking to women and training them, I'm trying to encourage them to just set up a table somewhere.
That's it.
Sometimes you just have to set up a table. And then, but the next thing that I find that happens is they give up too soon. So, you know, for you, you kept pressing through. Same with me. It's like there are days, you just described it, where you can feel overwhelmed. There's a lot of work during the holiday. But in my mind, I think there's always January. So I'm good. Stay the course, stay the course, stay the course. January is coming. And then when January comes, you've been, for me, it's, God has provided a tremendous harvest, and the harvest is heavy. And you want to, we think everything should be easy because we've got this computer mindset, internet, fast, microwave, where we are in a business where it's really artistry, and then you made a business out of your artistry and your craft. And so learning to manage your feelings, especially when it's so busy, but then you get to rest in January,
The rest, and you get to reap the benefits. And that's
Yeah.
listen, I started doing so well that I only worked like 6 months out the year.
Yeah. Good job.
I was like, this is it. Like, this is all I want to do. And then, but I thought to myself at that point, when I had all those different locations, I was exhausted, tired of driving all around. I wasn't enjoying the holiday season anymore because I was working. And then that's what made me say, okay, I think I've capped it off. I'm not going to make any more money if I opened another seasonal location. Like, that's the cap. I can't make it. So how do I make more? And that was the year-round location.
You opened up a location.
I opened up a brick and mortar, and that's what happened. And even with that was, oh, child, that was terrible.
And what were the benefits, and what were because I have shops. I don't have a storefront. I have shops, and they're workshops. So they're full fulfillment, wrapping, because we do the luxury gift baskets too. So we have 2 shops. And so what was your strength on having were you open to the public, or how did you do that? So
yeah, so I was open to the public, and I had like a little 500 square foot little place, and it was adorable. And I sectioned off a little piece for, it's pretty because that's what we do. So everything got to be pretty. And then it was gorgeous. But then I had like a little space in the back where all the ugliness happened, where the magic happened. That's where all the wrapping was. And so I offered gift wrapping. I offered fine papers, stationery products. And then later, I started doing balloons because it just made sense. It's like, what do people come in here for? If they're coming in here to get a gift wrap, they're probably going to want a balloon, and they're going to need a card. Right? Not a gift tag, but like a card. And so those were all the kinds of things.
That's great.
That I offered. And then someone called me and asked me, hey, can you show me how to gift wrap? That's how I gift wrap. That's how I started
your classes,
because someone said, hey, I love how you do this. Can you do this? Can you teach me how to do this?
Yeah.
And so I had classes, and I was like, sure, I can teach you how to do that. And I just did gift wrapping and how to do a simple bow. That's it. Like, that's it. And then they grew and grew and grew. And then it became, people were coming to me and asking me, well, how do you do the business? And teaching, I teach gift wrapping business education.
Yeah.
I carved that little niche out for myself because no one else was teaching that. At the time, I'm looking for, like, how do I do this what do I do? How can I do this? And it was education. Like, just because you know how to put paper on a box doesn't
Right.
mean you can do it as a business. And what are those things that I screwed up on in the
Yeah.
beginning? So what would I do differently? And those were the things that I taught. Like, I make sure I'm teaching, I get down to the nitty gritty of it, like really the nitty gritty of it, how to measure your paper correctly so that you're yielding the most amount of paper out of a ream, how to measure the ribbon correctly so that you're getting
Right.
the exact yardage that you can from that roll. Pricing, because that's the number one question I get is, how do you price for that?
Right.
And one thing that I realized, which is so interesting, I came up with what I thought was a good formula for me, like when I would charge people. Okay. So if I'm sending someone to your home and you've got all these gifts, we can probably wrap about 10 gifts in an hour. Right. And I realized that a lot of people who were starting businesses were just taking that, like they would literally take word for word what I had on my website and put on theirs.
Oh, boy.
But you can't wrap 10 gifts in an hour.
Or they can't. Yeah, that's something I run into too, where women they don't realize they can't charge the same amount because they don't have that skill set yet.
They don't have that skill set yet.
Yeah. And go ahead.
Yeah. And also, it takes time. When I first started, I was wrapping, a small gift was like $5.
Yeah. Yes.
I would never in a million years charge that now with the experience and expertise that I have. I couldn't do that.
Right. And your quality products, your quality paper, your quality ribbon, we buy very high quality.
Exactly. And so,
yeah.
And I think that that's what a lot of people do is they just kind of go and they look to see what everybody else is doing, and that's what they do. And that's where you're doing a disservice to yourself, because I think everybody in this industry, when I first started out, oh my gosh, I loved me some Jane Means and some Wanda Wynn. Okay. I loved, like, I have both of their books. I even flew over to London and took a class from Jane. And I actually met Wanda. So, I really did my research because I was taking this seriously. And I wanted to know, like, what are they doing differently? Or what are they doing better? But I couldn't charge what they charged at that time because I didn't have that experience. Right. You know what I mean? I just couldn't.
And you're doing your due diligence and you're doing your research. I'm the same. I took both their classes. And for me, the business is definitely, the training is mobile gift wrapping businesses, where I tell them, you can go take a class from somebody else on how to wrap a gift, but how to run your business. And people would ask me a lot of questions and I didn't have the answer yet. How do you run your business? Universities would ask me, how do you do that, Michelle? How did you break out the way you did? And I didn't have the answer yet because I was so engrossed in what I was doing day to day. And now you have your experience. I see some florists out there charging thousands upon thousands of dollars for design. So it's like, you do have that place now where you can ask for that. And
now I also, one thing I have learned, and I want to make sure I make this point, because this is one thing I want to make sure that I make this point. You have to bring you into your art, your craft, right? So whatever it is that's you. One of the things that I learned very early on how to do is make something out of nothing, right? Like,
yeah,
that came from not getting that Barbie dream house.
Yep.
I made my own. Like, you're not going to deny me what it is that I want, whether I have the money for it or not, right? And so one of the things that I do, and it's so bizarre yet beautiful to me. So one of the things that I do that you'll see in my work, like if you look on Instagram, you'll see that I used ripped pieces of paper a lot.
Cool. Yeah.
Right? I rip paper. I don't rip it, I like the raw edge of it as an art form, you know, but I love how it looks. And so I rip paper in when I am designing a gift. And that comes from a lot of people be like, well, what do you do that for? Well, it first started out because I didn't have a whole sheet.
Yeah. That's a great. Yes.
Right?
Look at that. That's awesome.
So I had to use this piece of paper.
And you're
wanted to read.
showing resourcefulness right now. You're showing resourcefulness. You
That's
had
it.
to do what you had to do. Oh my goodness. I have
I
super
know,
seconds.
right?
Because you're speaking my language. It's just that you are so right. Your style is different than my style, but yet we have a lot of similarities in certain things.
Mhm.
It depends on what the client wants. It really is
Mhm.
all that.
Exactly.
But you're bringing your style. And I know we have such an interesting thought where some women who are wanting to start their businesses, they're like, well, you guys kind of have the market. No, we don't. The market is just starting. It's a 30% growth. And so they need to train. So they need to take your classes. They need to take my classes, whatever. Get yourself educated, because the first thing is that this is like when Starbucks first landed. It's new.
Yeah.
And that's why we're calling you or
And
calling
it's
me,
wide
calling
open.
us. It's a wide open
It's
industry.
wide open market. And that's why I try to explain to people, yeah, you can take my class, or you can take your class, or Jane's class, or Wanda's class, or Shiho's class, but you have to still bring your into it, right?
Yeah.
You still have to put your mark, your ashe, you have to put you into it. And so it's really interesting because that's why people come to me. They
Right.
come to me because they know I'm going to get it right. I'm going to listen. And this is what I do when I'm consulting with someone on a project. And I prefer the art of it versus the labor. So
Mhm.
I don't necessarily like 600 corporate client gifts. That's not really my thing. Now designing them will be, but I'm not into the whole
Fulfillment
scrapping
side.
them all.
Yeah.
Right. The fulfillment side of it. Exactly. However, the design, I'm down. I'm totally down. But that's what people would come to me for, is because they're like, no, 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 no. I want you to do it. I like the way you did this, or the way that your mind worked to achieve this look. So yeah, so I'm really grateful for that. I'm really thankful, and I find that if you use those things, usually it's the thing that would bring about some insecurity in you, right? And you got to flip it. You got to flip it.
And you need to know what your strength is. Like, I'm the same as you. Like, I love the design side. I do a lot of fulfillment work, but I have an incredible team. So when it comes to the design though, and the look and the feel, that is my favorite. Besides my team building, like I love the team, but the design, which it sounds like you through the years had to do the same. Like you had to master your money. So you had to learn, okay, the cost. I just did a video on gift basket. How can you make a good profit in your gift basket business? And the same applies with your gift wrapping. Measuring it, putting a measuring tape, how much ribbon, reuse ribbon, or cut the edge off. Can you put that on something else? Like, because we can talk about the design side all we want to, but if we don't master our money, we're not going to be profitable. So Mia, you're just doing such an incredible job. Thank you for sharing. This is great wisdom. What was probably the most difficult financial thing you had to walk through, and how did you overcome that?
I would say most difficult thing was expanding, having more than one brick and mortar location. That threw me into a totally different stratosphere. Again, I already told you I like short-term projects.
Oh yeah,
And now I didn't put myself on the hook for a long-term project, right? I'm doing this every day.
Because you got a lease now.
Exactly. And it's not 1 year. It's 3 years or it's 5 years that I've got to figure this out now. And then on top of that, I did more than one. I opened more than one. So now it's not just me wrapping these gifts or, providing this service. I'm having to juggle lease payments, down payments. I'm having to juggle, what do you call it? Staff, their timesheets and doing all that. I don't know how I got out of that. I don't know how I overcame that. I think for me, a lot of time, ignorance has really worked in my favor. Because it's been like, you don't know what you don't know. And had I known it was going to be that hard, or had I known I wasn't going about it the right way, I probably wouldn't have done it. It wouldn't have made sense for me to do. But because I didn't know, I did it. I was so naive. And I did it. Had I known better, I would have talked myself out of it.
I know, it's so true.
It wouldn't have been smart, right?
Yeah.
But I didn't know. And that really helped me. And so, I tell people, for anybody who is listening and may have an inkling that this could possibly be what they might want to do, you will talk yourself out of it before you even wrap your first gift if you sit down and you think about this too much. I posted something today and it was Mel Robbins. And, she said, I had in my downtime, in the times when things weren't going well, I had to convince myself that, Mel, you did not do all of this for nothing. There's no way that all of this hard work that you have put in is not going to be rewarded. And you have to be, as an entrepreneur, you have to be delusional like that. Like that is one thing that I have in my favor. I think I'm a little crazy in that, right? That things that people are like, why would you do that? You can't do that. Or did you think about it? No, I didn't think about it. It's gonna get done. Like, I'm doing it.
Because I think that's again going back against, because I'm so similar to you. I launch and then I learn. I've made so many mistakes. Of course, hindsight's always 20/20. You can see all your mistakes. But the truth is, I think tenacity and then a willingness to learn. And I think you're a teacher. I'm a teacher. It wasn't necessarily what I set out to do, but at the same time, learn from those who have gone before you.
Exactly.
And, take the classes. Like I took Jane's classes, I took Shio's classes, and I still watch their classes because there are things that they do that are different. And I need to check your classes out. I haven't taken them yet, but it's always good because we're in different parts of the country. You're on the East Coast, I'm on the West Coast. And, I think just skilling yourself in business before you make those mistakes, like learn and you can, while you're growing. And this podcast is going on in June. It's gonna show up in a week. I think probably next Wednesday. But if that's the case, July is the best time to start. So women need to start their business, and like you said, they're going to grow and keep plugging away at it. And I think again, they stop too soon. I've been doing this for 10 years. I just made so many mistakes. It's not even funny. I've lost a lot of money because I came out of a very different lifestyle. And I didn't know what I was doing. I didn't understand cost of goods. I didn't understand measuring. Now it's like measure twice, cut once. And
exactly.
Learn a lot of that. And so I had to learn to have a profit mindset and then train my team the same way so that we were all in the same place.
That's very, very very important. When I was in the mall, that was one of the things that I taught. Like, I even, my systems were so crazy because I was just like, I don't want to give anybody a chance to, I don't even want you to think, right?
Mhm.
Just do. Like, don't think, just do. So what I would do behind my counter, I would have all of my boxes. My boxes have already been pre-measured. I've already told you how much paper, how many inches of paper you need to wrap this gift. So when you go over to pull the gift with your measuring tape, you have the exact amount. We're not wasting paper. I've already told you how much ribbon you
That's great.
need
Yeah,
to
that's
make
great.
this. So those are the kinds of things like I teach. One of the things that I love doing is going out to different people. Like, you'll hire me as a consultant. I want to start this. Can you come and you train me and my team? Yes, love that. That's so much fun for me. I go out, I do that. We come up with price lists. We come up with design lists and why the design costs that much. How can you make how can you increase your profit margin? You're still using the same materials, you're still using the same quality of materials, but what are the little things that you can do to make this from a $12 gift to a $15 gift? Like, how can we do that? For me, the money is in the scraps.
Mm-hmm.
The money is in the scraps. Go look at your scrap pile.
Yeah, that's what we do. Make
Yeah,
sure.
go look at your scrap pile. Put a belly band on that. Instead of using one ribbon, we got another piece of ribbon over there that coordinates with that. Put that on there too. Now that's a $15 gift.
That's right. That's elevated. And that's so good. Something else is that sometimes less is more. And
Mm-hmm.
had to train a lot of gals that have come out of, they love the style of gift wrap and this is very cool. And they make these really big, elaborate things on top of the gift. Well, not everybody wants that. So
Exactly.
less is more. And that saves you money and it looks beautiful and it looks elevated. And so they're going to
Mm-hmm.
pay you more for that. And that's such a great point, Mia. I mean, we can have a second podcast for sure, because I know we're going to talk a little bit about, maybe not today, but maybe we'll do this in July. And that would be, as you know, I'm creating an association, and that way women can have some place to go to ask questions, get help outside of just taking classes.
Mm-hmm.
So we're going to talk about that more as we move in. I've got a
Yeah.
couple more questions to ask you on
Okay.
this podcast. Number one, can you give us the highlight on the ultimate gift wrapping? Just give us the highlight. I have got to go back and watch that. I've not had the time, but I saw glimpse. I flunked out. I didn't get, they didn't, they're like, I'm so thankful, because that is not my thing. I
Yeah.
think you're natural at that, where I am more, I'm just, that is not my thing. That same week, I was asked to be on a TV show, and that was more my thing. It was very natural. I wasn't under that stress of run, 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 run. That would be difficult for me. Watching it, they approached me too, both times. I had
Mm-hmm.
anxiety. Like, I'm gonna have to. They're gonna kick me out day one because I don't rap like that. So
Mm-hmm.
I'm just going to enjoy myself and have some coffee and watch them stress. And then,
Well, let me tell you this. So that was the second show that I was on. The first show that I was on was in 2019, and it was on it was Disney's Freeform, and it was called Rap Battle.
oh, right. I
Rap
saw
Battle.
that somewhere. Okay.
Right. And so I was on that, and I was eliminated off of that in like the third round or something. And I was crushed.
Oh, yeah. Bless your heart. I would. Yeah, I could
I
just see.
was crushed because I felt like I'm way better than anything I created. Right. And yeah, and I didn't think I should have been eliminated. So this next time I said I would never go on again. And in fact, I had like creative PTSD after that. Like, it was bad. And it literally took me, and I'm not exaggerating, like 3 years to rebound from that. Because after that, I was like, never would I do that again. Ever, ever, ever. So this go round.
Feel your stress right now, because that's how I felt trying to prepare for getting kicked off, actually. And listening to everyone talk, I'm like, I was not made for that. So go ahead. Yeah, what a great.
Yeah. And so, okay. And so this next time I said, what's your goal? Like, what's the goal here? I said, okay, I'll get national exposure.
Yeah. So that's a great thing.
I'll take national
like that.
exposure.
I was going to help that. And think about all the three, even though that must have been terrible. I can only imagine that. I'm telling you, I can feel for you, because I would feel the exact same way. And, your the ability to, especially from 2019 to 2024, you have all those years to take positive criticism in terms of, let's clean that up, let's change that. And you probably being your worst critic, let's change that, let's add this, let's do this, let's do that. So your growth on your professional side was huge, probably.
Yeah.
Okay. So did you win? Tell me a little bit about this.
I was runner up.
You were runner up. Okay. I got to watch it. I just haven't.
I was runner up. I should have won.
Yeah. High five across the internet. I agree. I didn't even
No, but and shout out to Vanessa of Avenue Raps in Memphis, who did win. She did a remarkable job, and she was a fierce competitor. And the thing that I also like, the reason why I also was so geeked to do this, and I was like, I want to do it this time, is because, like, so the first time I went on the show, it wasn't gift wrappers. It was a gift wrapping competition, but they weren't actually gift wrappers, right? There were all kinds of people who did all kinds of things, and they just happened to they could also put some paper around the box. Not really, though. There literally was one person on that show who did not know how to gift wrap. And so I felt like at that point, I kind of don't, I feel like it's like at Christmas, everybody's a gift wrapper at Christmas. Everybody is, oh, I can wrap that. And then when they see what you do, they're like, oh, that's not. Yeah. So this time it was so good to see that these were gift wrappers. Like, these people took this seriously. These people I wasn't the only professional gift wrapper, right? There were several, I think there was 8 of us. Was it 8 of us, or was it 8 of us? I can't remember how many of us it was, but more than half of us had gift wrapping businesses. Like, this is what we did.
Yes.
And so
that's kind of cool.
That was very cool. Just to be able to be in a room with other people who took this craft seriously, who do this for a living, or it's their creative outlet that, again, they take very seriously. Just to be able to rub elbows, to be in a room with people like that, the conversations we had were so amazing. And, the difference in the two shows, like, one was super competitive, where we weren't allowed to talk to each other, anything like that. Versus, like, this time, it was much lighter. It was, you guys can talk. We weren't sequestered. We were, and so we all chatted it up. We all, exchanged stories, and it just felt good. It felt real good. Yeah.
That's great. Well, I hope some of them come to your conference. Two last questions. Number one, what would be the nugget you would leave for all the women or men, but predominantly women, who are interested in moving forward in this type of a business? What's your first thought there? Then the next thing would be, tell us a little bit about a couple minutes on the conference. Mm-hmm. I already have gals that are connected to me that have already signed up. They were so excited. Yeah. So that's really fun. Give us a little bit about that. And then last, how they can reach out to you if they want to. So number one, the nugget. Number two, the conference. Number three, how they can reach out.
Okay. So my nugget, you may have heard this before. Just do it.
Give it to me, baby.
Just do it. Like, get out of your head and put some action behind it. You know, that's it. Like, just do it. And regardless of what that is, take that first step. If it's wrapping gifts for your family, if it's, starting the business in your, in your home, in your garage, if it's going and setting up I get real creative with my class,
Me too, yeah.
where do you live? Who's in the area? You know, there's a barbershop. Go set up at the barbershop. That's brilliant. It's men who know how to rap,
Right.
and they're right there. That's a captive audience on a Saturday. Go set up at the barbershop. Let the barbershop know. Ask them, can you come in and put a table? And during that time, it's easy work, right? It's easy work. But just do it. Just start.
That's good. That's great.
That's
man.
it. Just start. You're never going to know every single thing. I've been doing this 20 years. I'm still learning. Thank God. Right?
Right.
Just do it. Just start.
That's great.
The conference. I am so excited about this conference. And let me tell you why. Because I feel like just about every industry, from the, United Electrical Workers, Teamsters, to stationary, everybody got a conference.
Mm-hmm.
Why don't we need a conference?
Yeah, because it's a new industry.
We need somewhere to go, grow, connect, be in community, get inspired, be motivated. And that's what's happening October 8th through the 11th in Atlanta. I am so excited. Let me tell you, I have three of who, it's funny to me that people like look up to me. I'm like, little old me, like they'll look up to me. And I'm like, but I got three powerhouses, right? As my keynote speakers. Like, these are the women, right? In this industry. These are the industry leaders, right? Three of them. Super duper. They're experts in there. Well, yeah. Besides and everybody is an expert in their field, from everything from design, mindfulness. I'm so excited that each person offers something different, a total different perspective to this. So regardless of what it is that you're into, if you're into wrapping gifts, like, this is the place to be. If you're into a business and growing that business, you'd be crazy to go anywhere else. There is nowhere else. Like, this is it. We've taken the time and the consideration to put all of these powerhouses in one room. Like, that's never happened before.
Mm-hmm.
And, I plan to make it a yearly thing, an annual thing, but this is it. This is it. So if you have any, like, you were thinking about starting a business, or if you have a business that you're thinking about incorporating gift wrapping, or you want to grow your current business, you want to take it from, a little bit of clients to more clients, or you want to learn how to get into gift wrapping for, corporate, like, how do you get these corporate contracts? These are the things that are going to be discussed. There will be master classes from these industry leaders. There'll be talks. And the VIP portion, I just have to say, I'm totally excited about.
Well, I think it's going to be so fun. And
yeah, it is.
It's just been so exciting, because you're right. You're bringing it all together, and this is a cool industry.
Mm-hmm.
It's in the age group. So, there's a lot of youth that's supported in a lot of things. Well, women over 50 and 45, this is an industry that is phenomenal.
Mm-hmm.
If background in creativity, and also mentioned it earlier, and I mentioned this a lot. If you have a gift basket business or a florist, this is such a great cross marketing
Absolutely. Absolutely. Oh
opportunity.
my gosh. Absolutely.
So
This is, if you, especially gift baskets and florals, like it all goes together. That
florists
celebration.
you pull back on their income during holidays where we have a surge. So if they want to stay busy all year long,
It's the greatest thing to do. It's the perfect thing to do.
well,
Yeah.
we'll give them a link on this so that they can sign up and check.
Okay.
So
Awesome.
once we create the notes, we'll put that in the notes. Mia, first of all, I want to tell you this: you are a powerhouse. Are you kidding? Amazing.
Thank you.
And they should follow you on your Instagram because you're very inspirational. It's not just about, you're way better at getting yourself out there, inspiring others by what you say. So can you give us your Instagram, your website, how they can reach out to you?
Yes. So reaching out to me, you can follow me. Instagram is mostly where I am. I haven't leaned over into all the others, but I'm the same everywhere. And it's the Gift Wrap Goddess. And that's THEE, Gift Wrap Goddess. My website is that'sawrapatlanta.com. Yeah. So
You have an email? Can they reach you by email? They can,
yep, you certainly can. You can reach me at sales, and that's SALES, at that'sawrapatl.com. You can DM me at the Gift Wrap Goddess.
That's very
Yeah. You can pull up on me in Atlanta, Georgia.
Yeah, look her up for sure. We want to say thank you. Thank you so much for being on here. Thanks for the time, the information. It was just incredible. And, having each of you gals on podcasts, it gives everyone a little taste as to how different everyone is. But yeah, we all have this passion. And the coolness of this is this: we are international, and I know you are as well. So for us, it's about our skill set, our the joy, our uniqueness, and a passion to work together. Again, disregarding anything else, any other factors, otherwise, we're all together, unified as a team. So it's very cool to have you on here, and I'm just so thankful. So I appreciate your time, and
thank you. It's been my pleasure.
Yeah. Like and subscribe, you guys. Keep up with what's going on. We're going to have other podcasts coming up that will help you unwrap your life and your business and grow you in your mobile gift wrapping. Bye for now.
Bye.